Good afternoon, everybody. Big GT fan here. I'm back again after a while off due to medical reasons with family members and stuff. So, yeah, let's get back into it. Today we're going to look at a Torana, XU2 V8 Torana. We're going to be going through specs and how it become cancelled and why Holden, this brainchild of Harry Firth, how it became cancelled and how it become to be and build specs and stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. Now there was one of three. The first car prototype was actually the LC Torana. That was the actual prototype where Harry Firth was ready for Bathurst in 1972. He wanted, they're talking about a V8 Torana. Holden was talking about the new LH model in 1974, but they had to carry over the LJ model till 1970 for 1972, which is upgraded front end from the LC, bigger motor, better XU1, better handling, looked better than the LCs in my opinion. But this car was Harry Firth's baby that he wanted to say to Holden, well, look, we can put the V8 just in the Torana and no one will catch it at Bathurst. So that's what they did. They actually chucked a 308 V8 in this Torana here, and went to Bathurst and was gonna annihilate everything. This is gonna be the GDHO killer, which in my opinion would have, the XA GDHO Phase 4 wouldn't have had a chance if this car was released. But there was actually three built. Harry Firth built an LC. He chucked the V8 in the LC, went to Holden. They told him he couldn't do it. He said, I've already done it. The car became a testing facility thing, and they just tested it. There's a funny story about it that Larry Perkins, he actually got done. He actually got done by a speed camera doing 185 miles an hour in this car. So would have been very, very quick car. Like we're talking about 800, under 1,000 kilos with the V8 in it. So probably about 1,100 kilos, give or take. So this thing would have ate everything at Bathurst, I reckon. And more nimble. There was more nimble than the big Falcon. So, but this car here, there was only two built. There was one prototype and two built before it got cancelled. One was the Lone Ranger here. This was Peter Brock's daily. It was actually given to Peter Brock for a while before he sold it on, because he got the new Torana. He got the new LH Torana in about 74. So this was his personal car. Then he gave it back to Harry, saying, "Oh, look, I don't want it anymore. Sell it on." So it's just gone into history somewhere. And then there was a Strike Me Pink LJ Torana, which was called XW7. Well, this one here was the Lone Ranger. So the XW7 was in Strike Me Pink. It had the same specifications as it. Someone did replicate that car, but that car actually got, the motor got taken out of it, and they've actually became Brock's. I'm pretty sure it actually became Brock's car in 1973, but don't quote me on that. It could have went into series production, the improved production series, but no one knows where that car actually went. So these cars, they were built. They had 14-inch wheels. They were upgraded 14-inch wheels. Had the Monaro brakes on the front. They were talking about in 1973, in 1974 with the disc brakes on the back, which the LH got. So most of the running gear out of this Torana went into the LC, production prototype, and then Harry done the LJs for Bathurst in 1972. They slipped. They weren't allowed to run these because supercar scare with Ford, Chrysler, and Holden. So what they did is, after the program was done and squashed, Harry went back to the drawing board and got sent over the LH Torana, but then Repco built the engines for them, and they just didn't hold up. You know, they had problems with diffs, gearboxes, oil surging, carburetors. The carburetors system on them weren't they weren't mixed correctly. So on the V8 LH Toranas, what they were doing is the left bank was getting more rich than the other bank, and the carburation, they couldn't work it out properly, so that got cancelled and that. But this Torana here, if it did make the production line, it did go to Bathurst. There's no way that Ford would have had a chance for the 3 years that literally it was gonna run Bathurst until 1974. And then Harry Firth, he wanted to actually carry on the XU1 Torana body, like small nimble body. He wanted to carry that on to about 75 before they changed to the LH and LX hatchbacks. So yeah, had this car made Bathurst, had this car been built, it would have been probably the fastest. It would have took Ford off the top of being the fastest production car in the world, in my opinion. But they were talking about, like, Harry Firth, and the option was going to come across as the 253 308, and I'm pretty sure from my records, don't quote me on it, but if you Holden fans out there could rely, Harry Firth was actually thinking about putting a Chev 350 in this Torana, but it would have been back to power to weight ratio, engine brakes, so the engine probably would have been heavier. But these two cars, they had a 4-speed. They had the 4-speed the 4-speed M20 box out of the Monaro. Had a shortened Monaro diff, I'm pretty sure, and the chassis on the prototype was not even strengthened. Like it was. Peter Brock said when he drove it at high speeds, when they drove it, the door gaps in the bottom of the doors down here, the door gaps were actually widened, and they said that they stretched the car about an inch or there was an inch gap. So then Harry had to go back and work out chassis and everything else. But so many funny stories in those days. So many funny stories in those days. I remember watching one thing about Peter Brock. He said him and Colin Bond, they had playing silly buggers one night, and they were driving to Bathurst, and Colin Bond thought, oh yeah, I'll lose Brocky, get him going. So he took off, sprayed rocks all over Brock's car, smashed the windscreen, smashed all the front end, smashed the headlights and nothing, and Brocky's sitting there in the dark going, look, I got no lights, So he got to Bathurst, fixed all that, and 1971, they were running the LC Torana. Yeah, had problems with camshafts, everything. I think Harry said that they blew up. Harry Firth, he said they blow up because they'll hammer them too hard. Then the LJ got the 202 motor, and this gave Brock an advantage in 1972 because of the rain and the tyres that he had. Well, all Harry Firth did was they were just racing tyres, and he was out the back actually grooved these tyres himself, so they weren't proper wets. So and Brocky, that's how Brocky got the win in 1972 was because of Falcon. It couldn't handle in the wet. Too big. I think Moffat was in the lead, but then McPhillamy Park, he went up the bank. Aquaplane went up the bank in the wet. So, but then 1973, they had the LJ. They had this car, but they didn't have the V8. They had the 2026 better. It actually had a Ford camshaft in it. Don't know if you believe, a Ford crank and camshaft. They scaled down with the rods out of a Falcon 221, which Harry got actually penalised for it at Sandown, because he was running illegal parts. But 1973 at Bathurst, when Brock ran the XU1 with the bigger Webbers and stuff on it, well, they had a issue with the fuel gauge. So he was then racing with Doug Shivers, because there was a 2-car team, couldn't run solo anymore like he did in 72. Well, went with Doug Shivers, like because there was no, the fuel gauge wasn't working. So what happened is when they're coming down the straight, some idiot put out a sign saying "Go for maximum laps," with Doug Shivers in the car, and he got to the top of Reed Park, and he's coming across Skyline and coming down. Well, Doug Shivers, instead of coaching it from Forest Elbow all the way down and into the pits, what he actually did was he tried clutching it. He tried clutching it as he's coming up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He tried clutch starting it as he was going into the pits, and it slowed down. It didn't have enough momentum to go up into the pits to refuel. So Doug Shivers, he had to literally get out and push this car to this line, because you couldn't touch the car until it come into the pit area. So there was a line, and everyone's, "Come on, Doug, come on, Shivo, come on." So he got into the pit area. Brocky pushed through him out of the way. So, you know, they pushed into the pits, put the fuel up, got it going. They were about a lap down, and Brocky, towards the end, there was a crash. Mazda RX2 towards the end of it. Brocky was leading the race, but suffered a puncture due to that crash with the RX2 at the top of the mountain. So, yeah, he comes second, but he could have won that race in 73 as well. But yeah, this car, had it been made, it would have rewritten the history books. Like, my opinion, I'm a Ford man myself, but I do appreciate the LJ Torana and what Harry Firth actually did. He raised up, I don't know if you could see, I don't really want to take it out of the box, but he actually made it all fit. He actually even raised, there was a bracket on the brake booster. There was a bracket on the brake booster to even raise the brake booster up to clear, so I could clear the left-hand head. Or the right-hand head, the head rocker cover. So they had to make a bracket for the booster to step it up. So, but yeah, had this thing was just a giant killer. It was awesome. Anyway, that's my review for today, and I shall be back again with the other part, with the other part of the supercar scare. And next we'll probably look at the GTHO Phase 4. So hope you liked my interview today, and yeah, I shall be back. Anyway, Big GT Fan is out. Catches.